because you can't do straight line functions. They don't work very well on a curved surface. Even flight paths would have to be parabolic equations and not linear functions in
To
order to
traverse the
operate.
surface of the Earth. I mean,
All right, who's
it's
here?
quite obvious. There's no way you
Who's
can live on a
here?
ball and use linear functions to actually determine distances. You can approximate them maybe at shorter
Content?
distances, but once those distances exceed the the equator, and once they cross the equator, they no longer work. They no longer work because now you have to go over a curve. But you're a content creator already, Geezer One, so I'm sure you wouldn't mind coming up and having a chat with me.
Flat earther.
Might get you some subscribers. Who knows? I'm always up for a spirited
Another
debate.
dumbass
And the
flat
Gator, if
earther.
you're still here, you're welcome to come on up too, and anybody else too once I drop the link. USA Today reached out to social media users who shared the post for comment. Space doesn't have an up or down. And I can agree with their theory of space. There is no up or down. Everything is just there. Shout out to D. Allen for the Cash App. Appreciate that. It says flat motherfucking power, CM. It's flat forever. Yeah, it's forever been flat. There is no true up or down in space, David Brown, a physics professor at North Carolina State University, said in an email to USA Today. Right, just like a ball has no top or bottom. Near Earth or any other planet or star, true up is always the direction opposite the gravitational force, he said. That is, true down is always toward the center of the Earth. This means that Earth, like any sphere, does not have a
This guy's dumber than dog shit. Got a new chew toy.
in reference to the core of the Earth.
All right, is anybody
Well, in
here?
theory, that would make sense in how things would work on a ball.
So
Gravity
let's go
pulls
to
us towards the surface of
Jadra.
the Earth, said Brown. So wherever you are on the spherical Earth, you are attracted towards the center of the Earth. That is just as true in Antarctica or Australia as it is in North America. That is why, regardless of the Earth's position during rotation, buildings remain on the ground and water stays in the oceans, said Jason Steffen, a mathematician and physicist at the University of Nevada. Okay? Says the smart people, which makes sense, right? Everything's being pulled towards the center of the Earth due to this magical force called gravity. So that's basically
There
what's
we
happening.
go.
Right? And with no true up or down, no true top or
Got
bottom to the
that.
ball, no matter where you are on the
Tools.
ball, if your feet are pointing towards the ground and your head's pointing towards the sky, you're upright.
Uh-huh.
Makes sense. But on the flat Earth,
But nothing, dipshit.
it's the same.
No, it's not. It's not. Doesn't work on a flat earth.
Only difference is we don't need gravity now. Now you can take all your chess pieces and place them all anywhere on the globe. I mean, anywhere on the flat plane. And I'm sorry I have to use this psyop, but we're looking at this AE map that they placed on here. Forget the background and the rocks and the water
Never
runoff.
set.
Fuck all that shit. We're looking at this AE depiction here. You
It'd never be
place
dark out.
everything on
Dark at
this
night. It would never be dark.
anywhere on this plane, and it'll all be upright as well. But the
This guy's a fucking genius.
only difference
This guy's a brain genius.
is density can be used
We
to
could
explain this phenomenon
turn the.
because your body is more dense than the air around it. So you will stay grounded. You won't fly away or float away. So
This
we
guy's
all
an
have
idiot.
the upright sensation,
Guy's
whether
a
you're in
fucking
the
idiot.
north or the southern hemisphere, the
All
southern
right.
section of the flat plane. But the difference is we don't
So
need a
we're gonna
theoretical
do a
force to explain why this happens on a flat
circle.
plane. So once again,
What the fuck?
we have the globe argument relying on the magical theory of gravity, where we have the flat Earth, where we would witness the exact same phenomenon with an actual natural explanation. Density is a law of nature. Gravity is a theory. There's nothing natural about a theory.
God, this guy's dumb
All
as
right?
shit.
Ready, Geezer One, based on that comment you just made, he said, if Earth was flat, the sun could never set. It would never be dark. That comment alone lets me know that you could stand. Like, here's the thing. You don't agree with flat Earth, and I get it. But
No,
in order to effectively argue
stupid.
against flat Earth, because if you were to say something like that in an actual flat Earth debate, you would get laughed off the stage. Because that demonstrates that you don't know enough about
Laughed
the
at
actual
by
flat
idiots?
Earth model. And it's
Laughed at
probably
by
because
idiots?
you've
Oh,
been
that
spending all
hurts.
your
That
time
would hurt.
debunking this psyop.
What's psyop?
That happens to a lot of people. And it probably would happen to me if I
it's a
was on your side
psyop.
of the aisle.
Oh, it's a
But
psyop. Okay.
in understanding how the flat Earth model is how it actually works, it does explain the sunset, and it actually explains the sunset
No, it doesn't.
so accurately that the sunset, the phenomena that we witness by the sun setting, can actually be replicated in simple experiments on the ground. Go to a football field, put a camera down at one end zone facing the other end zone, and then stand in front of that camera with your back turned to the camera and walk to the other end of that field. Then come back to your camera and review the footage. Matter of fact, before
Football
you do
fields
it,
are graded
take
for
an image of,
drainage.
take a yellow cardboard cutout, like a circle or something, or a yellow hat. Put a yellow hat on. And that yellow hat represents the sun. The ground beneath your feet represents the earth. And as you walk away from that camera, whether you curve to the right or you walk in a straight line or you curve to the left, just walk away from that camera. And what you'll notice is the further you get away from that camera on the footage, from the camera's perspective, that yellow hat will get closer and closer to the ground until it disappears
No, it
out of
won't.
view.
No, it won't.
And that, my friend, would be you replicating an actual sunset and how it happens on the flat Earth. Simply a local
No,
sun
football fields are
circling
graded
above
for
the flat
drainage.
Earth, moving out of your view. Because we do not have infinite
Are
vision. We cannot
curved.
see
Are
forever.
curved.
Our perspectives are limited. And due to
Oh.
this limited perspective, an object moving
Don't
above
understand
us
physics.
will
So you
eventually
don't
move
understand
out of view.
physics.
And that's what happens at
Understand
sunset.
physics. So you don't understand physics.
It says football fields are graded for drainage.
Yep.
Well, that's the most level surface I could think of. Or do you one better? Go find the flattest piece of land you can find, whether it be a rooftop, a parking lot, a parking garage. Matter of fact, if it's graded, point the camera towards the downslope of the grade. Because when you look in any direction on the globe, right, you're sloping down. The land in front of you is curving downward because you're on a ball. So every direction that you look on that ball, the ground is going down the further away from your position you go because you're going over a curve.
Okay, let's
Wow.
put a point on this line.
Ready, Geezer One? Don't be dishonest. Football fields are flat.
No, they're
Football
not.
fields are flat.
No, they aren't.
Because both teams have to have an even playing
No,
field.
they
That's
aren't.
where,
No,
that's
they
literally
aren't.
where the term even playing field comes from.
You don't even know that. You don't even know this. You don't even know that. They are built curved.
Yeah, he's trolling now.
They're built
He's
curved.
literally trolling now because
Prove me wrong, man. Bring it up. Prove me wrong.
you will hardly
Prove
find
me
a
wrong.
flatter piece of
Prove
land
me
than
wrong.
a football field.
I dare you. Prove me wrong. I dare you.
If the football field was graded, that means one side would be higher or lower than the other, which would cause injuries and open up the arena to be sued because
Oh my
they have unsafe
God, you're an idiot.
facilities.
This guy's a fucking
Do it on a
douchebag.
basketball court. Basketball courts are indoor and they're not graded for drainage. They're perfectly flat. Go to a basketball court and do it.
Basketball courts are too.
How about that?
Are too.
Yeah, he's
Basketball
trolling.
courts are too, man.
Ready, Geezer One? You're right. You know what? I give you
You're
that.
an
I don't
idiot.
understand physics. I don't know nothing. You're the smart person that knows we live on a ball.
Yeah,
You win. There you
absolutely.
go. Football fields are curved, y'all. Football fields are curved. I am done. Football fields are curved. Basketball courts are curved too?
Mhm.
Wow, I've played basketball my whole life. Coach basketball. Didn't even know that. Basketball courts are flat. Football fields are flat, genius. Yeah, he's trolling now.
Oh, you're hilarious.
Listen, Geezer, I think it's
Guy's
past your bedtime
hilarious.
now, brother.
Guy is hilarious.
I think you need a nap.
All right, let me see.
I'm sorry, I'm being disrespectful. Let me not Well, you're trolling me, so fuck that. You troll. Stop trolling. Basketball courts are curved too. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm fucking done. Geezer, have at it. Say what you want. Knock yourself out, Geezer.
I'm proving you wrong right now.
You were doing good for a while there, but as soon as you see,
I'm
but
proving
guys,
you wrong
again,
right now.
You see how the religious
on my channel right
works?
now.
As soon
Right
as I
now.
start to debunk
Proving
his
you wrong on
religion
my channel right
and
now.
answer his questions, because he was asking questions. I answered his question. Then he resorted to trolling immediately. That's how it goes, man. That's how they do. And I'm glad you did that, Geezer One, because now everybody got to see how the brainwashing works. It's just like the people at Jonestown when the kids didn't want to drink the Kool-Aid because they were questioning their Lord and Master Jim Jones. The kids got held down and forced to drink the Kool-Aid. I said, go to a football field and do this experiment. Football fields are curved. Amazing. He said he's proving me wrong on his channel right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Geezer One, you're welcome to come to my channel. Because football fields are not curved, so you're lying. So there's no way you can prove me wrong by lying. That's impossible. But knock yourself out, man. Knock yourself out. If the Earth was flat, Brown said, people would also feel a gravitational pull towards the center of that disk. This would mean people on the edge of the flat Earth would fall sideways. Here comes the straw man, y'all. This is one of very many ways we know Earth is not flat, Brown said. Listen again. If Earth was flat, Brown said, people would also feel a gravitational pull towards the center of that disk. That would mean people on the edge of the flat Earth would fall sideways. And this is the straw man that he's using. This is supposed to be the core, because apparently, according to their fake flat Earth model, there's a core. And if there was gravity on the flat Earth disk, everybody would be pulled sideways. So the arrows everybody would be leaning in toward, their heads would be leaning in towards the North Pole. So if you're on Antarctica, you'd be laying on your side practically, is what he's saying, because the gravitational force would be pulling everything towards the North Pole. You see how they straw man? Because one, he's assuming that gravity.
All right, we ready? LTO and Common Sense. Hey, there's somebody from his channel, probably. Hey, one of the mods from his channel. Here, I'm going to prove him wrong. I'm going to prove this dumb motherfucker wrong right now. So, we have a, where are we at? Display capture. Here we go. This is GeoGebra. Very good geometry program. And we can zoom in a little bit. Now, someone's standing at 45 degrees north latitude. See, this represents the equator, right? This is the North Pole. North Pole, equator, 45 degrees latitude. Dead smack in the middle. This is about where I live on the Earth. Probably him too. So,
who this brown person is.
Yeah, let's turn him down a little bit so we can still hear him a little bit. And we're going to draw a line.
Brown, a physics professor at
straight
North
up
Carolina State University. So here you have a physics professor who literally
from that line. Now these angles might be a little off because I can't. It's hard to do it perpendicular to this line here, so I'm sort of eyeing it. So we'll go here. We'll eye it as best we can. There. Now the angles may be off by, what, a degree or a half a degree or something like that. But try and make the spacing okay. Now every one of these lines is 10 degrees apart. This is 10 degrees off of the North Pole. 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 degrees at the equator. So let's do another line. I haven't said that in a long time. Anyway, here we got that one, and we'll do this one here. So, and we'll measure an angle. Let's put a point. Actually, we know what the angles are because when you're at 90 or at 80 degrees north latitude, you have to look up at 80 degrees to see Polaris. If you're at 45 degrees north latitude, you have to look up at 45 degrees to see Polaris. Any angle, any latitude that you're at on Earth, north of the equator, not saying south of the equator because you can't see it south of the equator, but any point on Earth north of the equator, whatever latitude line you're standing at, is the angle that you're going to see Polaris. We can look it up. Do the lines of latitude match the angle to Polaris? Question mark. Keeping the zero edge flat against the horizon, the arm of the compass until it points. Read off the angle. This is the latitude of Polaris from your location on Earth. This corresponds to your latitude. All right. So we know that. I mean, you can ask anybody who owns a telescope and ask them, what line of latitude do you live on? What angle of latitude do you live on Earth? And what is the angle that you look up at to see Polaris? And they will tell you the same thing. So this isn't just me making shit up like this dipshit does. These are facts. Now, this is a straight line. This is a linear function. This is a linear function. A equals B. Lines of latitude equals angle of view. That's a linear function. A equals B. Now, let's try it on a flat Earth. Let's try this shit on a flat Earth and see what happens. Okay? Here we've got the North Pole. We'll put Polaris here with a P. Oh, that's coincidental. I didn't even plan that. And we'll put another segment. We'll go 10. We'll make each one of these 10 degrees. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. That's the equator on a flat Earth. And it extends out further to the rim, right? So let's draw, we got Polaris here. We're going to draw a line down from Polaris to where this guy's standing. And then another one to where this guy's standing. And then another one to where this guy's standing. And so on and so forth. Till we go to all 9 points. Trying to get it to snap. And look at what we got. We got Polaris way up here. In reality, you would have to look at the equator or at the horizon, which would be here, to see Polaris at the equator. This is a fact. If you're at the equator, you see Polaris at the horizon without trees or mountains in the way. This is not up for argument. If you don't believe me, Google it. Now let's take angles. Let's measure the angles. Got this angle here, 80 degrees. Actually, let's set the number of decimal places. Where are we at here? Let's go 3 decimal places. Actually, let's go 10. And we'll go another angle, this time to 70 degrees. And then we'll go 60 degrees, 50 degrees. Now, do you notice? Let's move these away, out of the way so you can see them. 80.5, 80.5 degree. Well, this is 71. See, it's supposed to be 70, but it says 71. What about this one? It's supposed to be 60, 63. This one's supposed to be 50. It says 56. See, it doesn't work, but it does here. See, it works on this model, the reality model, the curved earth model. It works perfectly here in reality. Let's do another angle. That's 50. Do another one. See, I'm just proving him wrong here. See, the guy that you're a moderator for, he's a fucking moron. He's a goddamn idiot. Doesn't know physics, doesn't know optics, doesn't fucking know anything really. So at 50, it's 50.1. I'm sorry, that's 40. Supposed to be 40. That's 50 degrees. 30 is 40. See, it doesn't make any sense. This is not a linear function. This is not a linear function at all. We can do that. Let me see. It's been a while since I've graphed shit. Let's duplicate this. Let's bring back the axes and show the grid. And we'll put a point here. Let's see, it was out 10 degrees. And what did it say? It was 10 degrees. See, that should be 0 right there. That should be 0. But it's not. So at 10 degrees, so let's see, 33, well actually, let's go backwards here. So 80 degrees, 80.5 should be at 80. So, whoops. Let's move it over here. So let's do that. So this line will be latitude, and this will be angle. So at, I think we need to go a little smaller because we got 90 degrees to deal with. There you go, 90 degrees. So your first point is going to be at 80 degrees. And it was what, 80.1? About there. Next point is 71.5. That's at 70. So that's 71.5 right there. Bring it to there. Next one is 63.4. That was at 60. See, 2, 3.4, somewhere around there. Then we've got 56.3. About there. $56.3. Now we got let's delete that. Draw it again. Yeah, 50.1. Now we've got 40.6. Is that right? Yeah, 40.6. There. That should actually be closer to there. But you notice something? If we try and draw, and I mean just extrapolating right off the bat, does that look like a linear function, motherfucker? Does that look linear to you? Do these dots line up on this linear line? No, they don't, do they? No, they don't. But if we put a point at 80, oops, let's get rid of that. What the hell? Get rid of that, and that, and that, and that. Let's start over. Now we'll take a point at 80 to the 80 mark, 70 to the 70 mark, 60 to the 60 mark, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 0. Now let's draw a fucking line. What do you fucking know? Linear function is only possible on a curved fucking earth, bitch. So, sorry to fucking break it to you, but you're a dumb fuck. Alright? So, I've proven you wrong. I've proven this dumb motherfucker wrong. So, what do you have to say for yourself?
And when you start to debunk their arguments, then they get mad and they start trolling you and insulting you.
I just proved you wrong.
Because you dare not question their religion. You dare not question their priests. Oh, no.
It's not a religion.
Do it.
Yep. It's not a religion.
Don't you dare. Good for you, geezer. Good for you. You just proved that linear equations apply to a curved surface.
And only to a curved surface. Doesn't work on a flat earth.
Perfect. You just fit a square peg in a round hole. Did you come back for a cookie?
Oh my God, he doesn't know what a linear function is. He doesn't know what a linear function is.
'Cause I don't got nothing. Got some beer. You want a beer?
Aw, cry harder, cry harder.
I give you a beer. I drink
Cope harder, bitch.
a beer with you.
Listen how dumb
seem
this
like-
motherfucker is. Listen how dumb he is. You saw it, LTO uncommon sense. I just proved your guy wrong. Now what are you going to do about it? You going to still believe what he tells you? He's a fuckwit. He's a dumbass, man.
Pretty cool dude. I wouldn't have a problem with you outside of this.
Hey, William Foley, I just proven this motherfucker wrong. He says linear function is only possible on a flat Earth, which it isn't, and we know this. So I went live to prove that he's fucking wrong. And LTO Uncommon Sense saw it too. This is a moderator on his channel. Oh, I'll call him dumb motherfucker to his face. I most certainly will. You think this is the first flat Earth dumb fuck that I've ever reviewed? That I've debated? Okay. Dude, I've been doing this since, 2017 or some shit? About the time that Flat Earth started?
Intellectual debate that we're having. But, they say when you argue, don't argue with a fool, because once you start arguing with a fool from a distance, you can't tell who's the fool.
You're the fool. I've just proved that you're a fool. I just proved that you're a fool.
So football fields
Oh,
are curved.
yes, football fields are built graded with a hump in the middle and lower on the edges. Yes, and lengthwise as well. Absolutely, for drainage.
Basketball courts are curved.
Yes, slightly for the same reason.
You got it, pimp. You got it.
I'm not a pimp. Leave your racist bullshit at home, boy.
You proved me wrong.
Yeah, I did.
Linear equations are
See, he isn't looking up anything. He just got his little slideshow. He's got his script. He's got his fucking script. He's got his little script that he has to go by. He said he can't Google anything while he's live. That's horse shit. I can.
basic math that work on a ball. Perfect. Perfect. I love it.
He's a fucking idiot.
Shout out to you, bro. More power to you. So I'm done with this article, guys. I am done with this article. So, Negator, if you're still here.
Oh, of course, he's got Cash App and Venmo.
Negator, if you're still
It's just a fucking grift. Negator, he's one of ours. He's over there too.
Guys, hit the Cash App, hit the PayPal, hit the Venmo, support the show, support the show. Maybe that'll make the trolls even matter. We don't have any sponsors for tonight.
Yes, a linear function is a straight line. But that function, that relationship between angles, the viewing angle, and the lines of latitude is not possible as a linear function on a flat Earth. I just showed that. Are you fucking stupid too? Seriously,
We
man.
don't have any sponsors yet. We could use a sponsor or two.
I mean, tell us you don't know anything about math without saying the words. And check this out. Check this out. This is one of the parts to West Side Girl Reacts sundial, digital sundial. Have to trim the flashing off of it, but this is it. This goes on a piece here so it can swivel, and then the piece is pivoted here so it can go up and down to match the angle of your latitude, so you get the right arcing of the sun. So this is the first real print off the printer. And yeah, fucking flawless. I mean, absolutely flawless. No layer separation, no weakness, no filled in holes. It's great. Hiding in my basement. Dude, I live in a fucking bungalow 500 feet from the ocean, dipshit. He looks like he's living in a basement. But I've given plenty of tours of where I live. So, share your pain, dipshit. But I mean, if he's brave enough to watch my video, then he'll see where I completely fucking destroyed him.
Flat earther back to being a globe earther. I've never witnessed this. Just like I've never witnessed
Really? Raichi50, STST, Speak Truth, Seek Truth. Who else? Sean G, Jose JG Gonzalez. Yeah, there's plenty of them. Plenty of people who learn that they've been lied to by you dumb motherfuckers and quit the flat earth.
Democrat, become a conservative, and then go back to being a Democrat. I've never witnessed this. Would you mind, Sean G, coming up and explaining to us how
Sean G. Is Sean G in there?
you came around?
Oh,
to
Sean
that,
G's there.
to that,
Well, I didn't even know he was there, and I said his name.
decision. That I want to know. I think we all want to know this. And it ain't to clown you or be facetious or anything like that. I genuinely want to know because you literally, we could make history here tonight. Because you literally are the first person that I have ever heard make that claim. And if there's other people that think that way, maybe you might know about them and be able to point me in their direction so I could get more insights. Because if you came across in all the lies, all the deception, all the evidence proving that they lie and deceive, right? And all the lies and deception that I've come across pertaining to the globe, I want to know what was that smoking gun or what was the culmination of evidence that culminated to the smoking gun that made you change your mind.
But hey,
I really
we'll give the dumbass a wrench anyway.
want to know. Shout out to William for the cash app. Appreciate you, William.
Your standard moderator. There we go.
So if you don't mind hitting the link, man, I'd really love to talk to you about that. See, now this is a conversation with a Glober I can have without frustrating myself.
Yeah, you're frustrated because you're an idiot and you have cognitive dissonance because you're trying to make sense of what can't make sense.
Earth, which
That frustrates anybody.
you have to use parabolic equations when you're dealing with curvature, but never mind.
No, you don't, dummy. You have to use parabolic equations when you're working with a fucking parabola, not a sphere. Man, this guy.
What made you a globe earther? I want to know. Oh, shit. Sean G's here, y'all. The man is here. Let me go to the side-by-side view.
So there isn't a difference between a circle and a parabola?
All right, come on, add to stage. Let's bring up my man Sean G. All right.
It's the attack of the Shawns.
What's up,
I
sir?
think I got you in there. You hear me?
All right. We're going to watch this a little bit.
We're a flat earther. So here's what I want to know. When you transitioned from, because we all start off as, by default as globe earthers, because that's what they teach us as kids. Would you agree to that?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. And at some point, we changed our minds. We came across information, changed our minds, became flat earthers. So what was that turning point for you where you started becoming, a flat earther? What was that turning
Right.
point for you?
Okay, so first of all, I'm a conspiracy theorist, regardless of the shape of the Earth. I think I look into those things. I have a lot of distrust for what is presented. When I found flat Earth, it was
Hey, he's welcome to come here. I invited him to come and watch me destroy him, but he's a chicken shit.
this typical thing. I'm going to debunk that pretty quick. And as a glober who finds flat Earth, you kind of feel like, okay, it's going to take me 10 minutes to debunk this. And what ends up happening is he realizes that very rudimentary school education you had has a lot of
Yeah, I'll call in after Sean leaves. Me and him don't get along too good.
holes and gaps in true understanding. Because of that, it became easier for me to start at zero with my understanding. And that's where I became a flat earther.
Mhm.
And that was with Dreads. You've been exposed, question everything. It was on his channel.
Yeah, I know him. Ah, pretty cool, pretty cool. How long ago was this?
4 years ago, 4.5 years ago.
That
Yeah.
had to be like
Yeah,
2019,
about 5 years.
like
Yeah.
2019, 2020ish. Okay. All right, cool. So you basically became a flat Earth, pretty much how most of us flat Earthers became flat Earthers. We just started finding the holes and kind of just went with what on the surface seemed to make more sense.
Yes.
No, actually, you don't know shit about physics or science. You are distrustful of any kind of authority, and your inability to think correctly makes you think that there's holes in it. Oh, and also because the indoctrination that you've been fed by the other flat earthers.
Right? Is that okay? So that's accurate. All right. Now, how long had it been until you went back to being a globe earther? Because that's where I'm curious. I've literally never witnessed anything like it. So enlighten me. How long were you in?
William Grammer Jr. says, Geezer's lucky I haven't blocked his ass yet. Yeah, because you're a coward. You're a fucking coward.
The flat Earth before you decided to go back to being a globe earther, and what made you change your mind?
I was a flat earther for about 4 years, 5 years, 2015, 17. 4.5 years I was a flat earther. The main thing that happened is my understanding of every topic that we talk about started to get a lot better, and then got to a point where my basic understanding was able to start asking questions to start filling in gaps with it. And when I started to ask flat Earth content creators, Dreads, Bro Sanchez, you name it, the gambit, there's a lot of, especially back then, there was a lot of more people. I wasn't getting answers. I was getting, workarounds, or worse, even worse of that is a globe denial, right? It's why do things drop? And then you'd be like, well, what's the cause of gravity? That's not a positive explanation for your belief of something. It's a way of kind of dodging it. And when that happened,
Well, it says you got 5 people here, but yeah, I only see 2 here. Are there 3 more cowards on from his channel? Not speaking up.
it showed red flags for me. Once I started being able to piece things together with the globe model that worked together.
Speak up, little derpoids. Who's on here? Speak up.
My understanding, my path in understanding, had to go in the correct direction, rather than constantly hitting roadblocks of things that didn't work with flat Earth.
Okay, I got you. So back to your example, right, with the gravity question.
Mhm.
Didn't anyone ever make the density argument? Because that has always been, because when globe earthers ask, why do things fall?
Relative density disequilibrium. There's no downward vector. There's no directional vector with density. Density isn't a force.
Then the flat earthers would answer and say, well, because of density, that item is more dense than the medium that it's in,
Isn't a
which is
force.
usually the air around it, so it'll fall. Unlike a helium balloon, which is less dense, it'll go up, it'll rise.
Density isn't a
Right.
force.
So did you not get that answer, or did you get that answer and it just wasn't satisfactory enough for you?
Oh yeah, especially back then, that's definitely the answer I got. Density, relative density, you name it. there were a lot of different explanations. The issues with those things were because my understanding got better. I was able to understand what a force is, what um, a material, what matter is. I understand that when we are talking about the term density, that we aren't talking about a direction. We're talking about the mass and the volume of that mass. That is not a direction. That can't be a reason for something to fall. So when someone would say density, and this is when I was trying to figure it out, when someone would say density, I mean, how far can you go with density if at that point you understand that density doesn't have a direction? The matter with that encompasses a mass and the volume of that mass is that mass. It's not a direction. So why do things fall? It can't be density. Density is just one part of that, and we call that mass, right? We simplify that equation by, instead of saying density, volume, atmosphere, conditions, mass that it's attracted to, blah blah blah, we just say we say mass.
Okay, fair enough. So how does gravity explain that helium balloon going up instead of going down? Because that's where
Because it pulls the air around it down and forces it up. It's called buoyancy.
where I'm more leaning towards with the density argument. I get what you're saying. I don't agree with it, but I understand what you're saying about, things falling down, because density doesn't have a direction, which is understandable. So, taking that off the table, let's talk about things rising up, like that helium balloon. How does gravity explain that?
Yes. Okay. So with that, and I want to make this clear because this is one thing that I noticed that Globers do. They're so engulfed in trying to be right. They forget about the reality of the questions, right? So what you just asked me isn't a one part question. It's not going to. I can't say uh, it's gravity just does this. The reality of it is the helium that's in that balloon is less dense to the atmosphere. So density does have a lot to do with it, right? It can't deny that it's not a part in this situation. That's when we start discussing things like buoyancy. The reason I contribute gravity to have some effect on that is the same thing. We when we drop something and measure its rate of fall. Well, with buoyancy, we can measure the rate of its rise. If we release a balloon at sea level, and we know that the atmosphere is 14.7, we can calculate how fast it will take for that balloon to rise 100 feet. That measurement in itself, because we're using the buoyancy, and to be more specific, we would be using relative density. Relative density is the measurement of the buoyant force. So in that,
That's
gravity is still
relative to the
involved.
medium that object is in.
Exactly.
Just to be clear,
That's
when
when
you say relative,
yeah.
okay, that's what it relates to. All right.
Yeah.
So
It's
let
just
me
it's yeah. Go ahead.
so let me ask you this, because you made the claim that
Hey, Peter Harrington. What's up, man? Oh, no problem. No problem.
density doesn't really have a
Fucking coward. You know I'm not talking about my people, right?
direction, but in the helium balloon experiment, it clearly does, because it's going up. I mean, if you take two liquids, one that's less dense than the other, and you pour them into the same container at the same time, the less dense liquid will rise and it will move upwards, right?
Right. But if you put that density column, is what you've described, in free fall, where you've taken away the downward vector of gravity, and density is the only thing left, it mixes up. So if it was density, it would correct itself in free fall. So does the density of an object change under free fall?
Right. So
Mhm.
I would argue and say density does have a direction. And if density can demonstrate
Mhm.
an upwards motion with with the laws of buoyancy or relative density or whatever you want to call it, then the opposite would be true if the relative density of the object is more than that of the medium. Thus, the heavier liquid, let's say you take alcohol, I think water is more dense than alcohol, if I'm not mistaken. So let's say, for example, let's use gasoline and water. Gasoline is less dense than water. So you take a
Boy, he's clever.
cup of water and you pour gasoline into it. The force of it going downwards, because it's more dense than the air, will cause it to mix with the gasoline. But then eventually, if you let it sit stationary, it'll rise back up to the top because it's less dense
This is
than the
fucking
water.
beautiful.
Reverse that, and let's say you pour the water. I fucked that all up. The gasoline is less dense, so you pour it into the water to rise to the top.
Mhm.
The water is more dense than the gasoline, so you pour the water into a cup of gasoline, and the water will just sink and settle at the bottom because of its
Yeah.
relative density to the gasoline. So there,
Hmm.
I see directions in when it comes to the density and its relativity to the medium that it's in. So
Yes.
which brings me back to my original question, which I'm not really satisfied. Not that I don't like your answer or I disagree with your answer. I'm just not.
Oh, by the way, I bought a book called Roadside Picnic. It's by some Russian guy who I can't pronounce the name of. Anthony something. I can look it up real quick. But it's the book that the video game I like to play is based on. See, like Call of Duty, just a war game, just a shooter game. But Roadside Picnic or Gray Zone Warfare has pedigree based on a movie or based on a book and a movie. Roadside Picnic by Arkady Strugatsky, who pretty prolific author, Russian author, quite controversial as well. He has one book. It's very hard to get. Sells for $1,400 on Amazon. So I mean, he knows his shit. But it's it's Arkady and Boris Strugatsky. I guess a couple brothers. Red Shoeheart is a stalker, one of those young rebels who are compelled, in spite of extreme danger, to venture illegally into the zone to collect the mysterious artifacts that the alien visitors left scattered around. His life is dominated by the place and the thriving black market in the alien products. But when he and his friends Krill go into the zone together to pick up a full empty, something goes wrong, and the news he gets from his girlfriend upon his return makes it inevitable that he'll keep going back to the zone, again and again, until he finds answers to all of his problems. There's a talking monkey in it. I have absolutely no idea, but I have the audiobook, and I started listening to it, and I hate audiobooks. I like listening to them, but I lay down like to relax and keep listening to them, and I fall asleep, and I can't remember at what point I fell asleep. So I miss a lot of stuff, and then I have to backtrack, and everything's confusing. So I bought the paperback so I can read it, mark my page to where I stop, and I'm thinking about doing a live reading. It's 200 and some pages. I think it's 200. Can't remember. 250 or something like that. Yeah, the inspiration for the film Stalker and the Stalker video games. And Gray Zone Warfare is an offshoot of that. So, yeah, 224 pages, so it's not real long. I'll probably do a chapter a day. And I think it'll be fun. It's a good story. It's a really good story. It has some nice philosophy in it, which I'll get into. But anyway,
I don't feel fulfilled in the. I still don't have a proper understanding of how gravity would relate to the less dense item moving upwards as opposed to the more dense item moving downwards.
See, he just can't grasp simple buoyancy. He just doesn't have the ability to grasp simple physics. But he thinks he's smarter than everyone. Typical Flurf, right?
Okay, so the way you're looking at it is
Mhm.
as if you're not looking at it as or better way of saying it. Density is an ingredient
This guy's, why would star trails be oval shape on a flat Earth instead of what we already see?
to the equation of its rate. To be more specific, the density. So we'll use that balloon that you're talking about with helium in it. That balloon, like I said, the density of that object being less than the density of the atmosphere does play a part. That is just the ingredient that goes into the equation with the buoyant and gravitational force, which means with the equations, right? So if you had a scale up, down, and that balloon starts rising, it's rising at a certain rate. That rate can be measured. The rate that's measured up is measured to the equivalent of the downward force.
Oh,
Now,
okay. I get what you're saying. I
yes,
understand. I understand. You
yeah.
don't even
So
have to explain anymore. So gravity. So gravity
Equal and opposite forces, man.
would relate to the balloon floating up. Like, let's say it was a gas that was less dense than the air at the on the ground. Right. I'm 6 feet tall. So let's say the first 6 foot layer.
No doubt he probably doesn't pay his mom board either. Jesus fucking Christ. These guys actually think I live in my mother's basement. My mother's been dead for like 10 years, man.
Of air, helium is 10 times less dense than that, then gravity would have less of a force, which means it'll rise faster. But let's say I use a gas that's 4 times less dense than the air, which is a little more dense than helium. It too will rise, but just at a slower rate. Is that what you're saying, basically? Just to try to simplify things. Hey, Sean,
yeah,
you there?
sorry, my dog. Yeah, my dog was barking. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
okay. Okay. Well, I think that from my perspective, and I'm sorry I told.
See, to an army person, if he said that, it would tell me that he hopped the whole way on a 20-mile road march and only one of his dogs is barking.
Told you I wasn't going to debate you, but I can't help myself.
No, that's no worries. No worries.
From that perspective, I would argue that gravity can be taken out of the equation, and that can be explained simply by using relative density. Because if you have two, let's say, two liquids that are closer in density, but one is slightly less dense than the other, that rise to the surface where they settle and separate themselves would be a slower process as opposed to two liquids that are even more, disparate in their densities. You get what I'm saying?
Yes. Again, I preface this on purpose when I was saying this. Relative density isn't a vector. Relative density doesn't have a vector. Relative density is only an equation. It's the equation using the buoyant force and the gravitational force. So when you say, what if relative density, all you're really saying is, and in this equation, we don't have gravity. If that were the case, then the rate that an object rises would be almost infinite. There would be no I can't say that. There would be no force acting on that object as it rises if there's no gravity. If there's no downward vector, hang on. Rather than say gravity, if there's no downward force, there's no downward vector, then the buoyant force the equation we should have in that buoyant force is as it rises, it increases in its speed without any resistance. So the question would be, what would be that resistance? Relative density, it adds that resistance. At relative density, yeah.
And the relative density would be the density of the object in motion, whether it's going up or down, relative to the medium that it's in. Wouldn't that be the case? That same helium balloon. You got
to remember this. That's in comparison to the constant rate of fall that we have. So for that equation to happen, we already have the equation, right? We use a vacuum, we drop objects. We know that there's a constant rate of fall, 9.8 roughly. Because of that, we now can use relative density. Now we can say the density of this object compared to the density of the atmosphere, and the reason it rises, well, its rate of the rate that it rises compared to that vector that we have established, 9.8, that using relative density then gives us the rate at which that helium balloon filled with 3 gallons of helium would rise in our atmosphere at 14.7. Relative density only gives that number.
That's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. But what I'm taking from what you're saying is it's like the rate of fall is like an add-on to the equation to justify the existence of gravity. And without that add-on, the only comparisons you would have would be the medium and the object itself that's in motion. And the medium would provide that resistance. So you wouldn't even need to calculate a rate of fall if you know the density of the medium that the object is in. Like, for example, right? That helium balloon, if you go to the bottom of your swimming pool and you let it go, it'll rise a tad bit faster because the density of the helium in that balloon compared to the density of the water is more disparate, so you'll have a faster rate of rise, as opposed to if you were to fill that balloon with a lighter liquid or something, and it'll rise, but it'll still rise, but at a slower rate. Or if you were to use your body and float up to the surface from the bottom of your pool, you would float up a little bit slower than that helium balloon would. So I don't see the purpose of calculating the rate of fall or using gravity in that equation at all. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see any need to even consider gravity. And it's similar, and it's kind of similar to, and I don't mean to shift the argument.
God damn. How brainwashed can you get, man?
Because you did put forward a very, very plausible explanation. I'll give you that. But when it comes to like the curvature, right? They say that the Earth's surface is curved and this and that. But when you look at how land surveying is done.
No, not they say. It's been measured. We measure the Earth as curved.
For construction.
The angles to Polaris confirm it.
Projects, they have to have an area that's larger than any construction project that's ever been known to man to even be able to consider curvature in their calculations. Like when they built, like for example, when they built the railroad, right, across the country, across the U.S., there was no curvature math considered, and we still.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. Yes, there is.
We'll use those railroads today just fine. So it seems to me like these are elements, like the gravity thing. These are elements that are finagled in there. They're added in there.
The mere process of leveling something uses curvature.
There somehow to justify.
Level equals equidistant from the Earth's center, parallel to the curvature of the Earth.
Their existence. Gravity exists. There's a downward force, so we have to calculate the downward force to find the rate of rise. Fair enough, but perhaps the rate of rise is simply based on the disparity.
See, they said they're gonna they ought to block me because I'm insulting people. Listen to this piece of shit here. He isn't even getting his insults wrong. I shave my hair. I shave my head, dipshit. Yeah, see, I've got hair. It's a little thin on the top, but I got hair, motherfucker. I shave it. Fucking stupid shit. And I don't live in a basement of my mom's. I live in a fucking bungalow. I'm 63. My mom's been dead for 10 years. And I'm not bringing that up to make you feel bad. It's just that's the fact. So I can't live in my mom's basement if she's fucking dead.
Between the less dense object and the medium in which it's in.
I bet you think the sun's bullshit, don't you?
I think that explanation works just fine. Maybe maybe I'm wrong
Oh,
about that. I'm no
you are. You're absolutely wrong about that.
scientist or anything, but I can totally understand now because I
You know who does know? Actual scientists. So you might want to listen to them.
was thrown off when you said you went from being a flat earther to back to a globe earther, but I can understand now because if you can justify the existence of gravity, then you can
Justify the existence of gravity. Cavendish justifies the existence of, gravity.
Well,
justify
it's
the globe in the heliocentric model. So
okay.
you made a fair argument there, sir. I'll give you that.
Okay. So I kind of want to go back, and I have
Hey, I mean, hey, props to him for like conceding to an argument, for having just a little bit of fucking, common sense about him.
little notes so I don't want to, because I don't want to
Yeah,
be cutting you off and everything. When it comes
appreciate
to
that.
the like, for instance, the balloon aspect of this, because we were talking about taking, you said gravity was like the add-on,
Yeah,
but the thing is that gravity isn't the add-on. Buoyancy is actually the add-on, because uh,
Yeah, buoyancy is a byproduct of gravity.
if we take all the aspects of the world out of it, right, we put it in a vacuum chamber,
yeah,
that same helium balloon doesn't rise. That helium balloon falls,
yeah.
because
Because we've
there
taken out
is
the
no,
medium.
exactly, because we've done that. You can't say, or it's harder to say that density, the density of an object, has anything to do with why something drops. Because in that situation, there no longer is a medium to then have in that situation, right? So when we take that equation, the one that when we show, hey, a helium balloon's rising, the if we take out any downward vector of it, it's only going to be how fast does it rise until it gets to a stopping point. The fact that we have that same consistent rise out of the known equation shows that the downward vector is there. There is an absolute downward vector, and it can't be just density because we've taken the median out of that equation.
Well, removing the medium would then put the resistance of the medium or the density, quote unquote, of the medium
Hmm.
at zero
Yes,
because there is no medium. So
exactly.
that would be like if I were to go under a pool and at the bottom of a pool filled up with water with a balloon that I blew up with the air from my lungs, it would rise. But if I did it at the
Yes,
bottom of an empty pool, that balloon would fall. So it's the same phenomena, which amounts to the density when you put that helium balloon in a vacuum, the helium in that balloon is now more dense than the area, than the space around it. So
yes.
so even if you remove the air and you can say there is no medium, but that space itself now becomes the medium. So
Okay,
density still
perfect.
applies.
Yes, okay. It's still a factor. Uh,
I want one of these so bad. Noga RG 1000. It's a Swiss Army knife style deburring tool set. It's fucking awesome. Has a countersink deburr, uh, two different angles, and then a triangular reamer. But it's so cool, man. It's like Swiss. It's like a Swiss Army knife. I want one. It's expensive as shit.
Um,
61
and
bucks.
okay, so this is where things start getting hairy because this is one of the things, one of the paths that I've tried to walk down.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've established that density does have is a factor in why things fall. Now, because we have a constant rate, I don't think anyone can argue that there is a constant rate. When we put something that is less dense than, say, a bowling ball,
And actually, it's not a constant rate. It's an acceleration.
in that same back, and I know you've heard this, you've seen this, a
Mhm.
bowling ball and a feather that fall in a vacuum, and they have the same rate.
Well, I mean, okay, yeah, things have a consistent rate between them. I mean, yeah, things consistently fall at 9.8 meters per second. I can understand that. But no, the rate at fall is not consistent.
That now takes the density part of the argument out of why things fall. Because if that were the if it was density, if it was relative density, if it was just a buoyant force, things would happen differently. There still wouldn't the constant, because here's the main factor of this.
It's just
When
a
you have
moron.
gravity, density, buoyancy, the
Someone just cited Witsit. James GP. Witsit gets it, has falsified the R value. No, he hasn't, you dumb fuck. He most certainly has not.
all the things that you can actually take out of this equation using a vacuum chamber.
Yeah, he does. He does, Peter. He wanted him to be on the show because he was a glober that went flat and then went back. So yeah, he knows that he's a glober that used to be a flat earther.
Is buoyancy, right? You take out the median.
And frankly, this Sean G's the best person to talk to this guy. I'll just fucking tear him up. I'll make him feel bad that his mama loves him.
That factors in buoyancy. So now all you have is this downward vector and the density. Now, the only thing we can establish, and this has to be admittedly, is the only thing we can change in this equation is the density object. So we can change that independent variable by using different density sized volumed objects. And the same thing that we find is that they all fall at the same rate. So density isn't the factor for that rate. When we talk about buoyancy, it is contrasted against that rate of fall. So establishing why things fall, we have to establish a reason that constant rate happens, because everything is off that constant rate. Buoyancy, relative density, because that equation, all that is based off of a downward vector, something that constantly falls at 9.8.
Well, Sean G, it sounds to me like you have effectively proven the existence of gravity, my friend. So my next question.
Wait, better. Hang on, I'll say it better. I've effectively proven there's an effect that we have decided to call gravity.
Gravity. Okay.
There you go.
Fair enough. So,
and basically, I mean, I understand what they say when they say scientifically proved. It means he's confirmed scientifically that it. So, but you can't prove anything scientifically. Science doesn't prove, it confirms.
Why is it that
it eliminates bad variables?
They still refer to it as the theory of gravity, or have they?
Because a scientific theory is the highest honor you can give a hypothesis. It's the highest honor. It's met peer review. It's met strict scrutiny. And it's passed every bit of scrutiny, every bit of falsification you could throw at it. That makes it a theory. A theory in the colloquial sense is, I got a theory that there might be a dog out there waiting for me. A theory to I guess layman is just an idea. But in science, it's the highest honor you can give an experiment or a hypothesis. See, they don't understand that. They're thinking colloquially when they talk about theories.
They revise that, and do they now call it the force of gravity?
Okay, so me and you are talking about something, and I go, and you go, blah 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 is going to happen, and I go, I think this will happen. What I've established is my theory. That is the civilian,
right?
That what I call it, the normie version of what a theory is. When we talk about gravity, because we have established laws, gravitational laws. One of those gravitational laws is what we just talked about, the constant rate of.
Oh, by the way, check this out. This is kind of cool. I printed this before I printed this thing. Actually, the order of prints are this Benchy, which is fucking flawless. No bridging problems. There was no spider webbing. Circles are circle shape. Just a beauty. You can read the writing on the bottom. You can't with this camera because it's a shitty camera. Then this was the second one. I just got done printing. But this was printed. Where was it? Like this. This was printed like this on the print bed. Just like that. You can see the pattern on the bottom. It's got that pebbled pattern instead of a shiny or lines. But it was printed like this in one piece, in place on the print bed. Then I just had to kind of loosen it up. And now it's one of these. It just folds in on itself constantly. Never stops. It's a very, very cool fidget toy.
Fall 9.8. That is something that
Here, let's go. Let's
Curious
bring it to
case, bro.
live.
He actually made some pretty sensible arguments. But I had a brother in the chat that was challenging the constant rate of fall. James GP. He said, the guy talking to Citizen Man, that's in reference to Sean. He says, doesn't understand that we can change the rate of fall by changing the amount of charge, by
No, he can't. No, he can't.
increasing negative charge, or by increasing positive charge. You can
No.
make objects rise or fall. And I've seen them. I've seen those experiments where they use like electrical charges to make objects float and stuff. So, James, I think you might be onto something there, brother.
No,
Oh, James,
not.
ask him what
No, he's just parroting wits it.
one globe proofing.
Just
Well, he's gonna
parroting
come
wits
back.
it.
You know, I'm gonna chop it up with Sean again. So when he comes back and we have that discussion, I'll definitely ask that question, because that's the question that needs to be answered. So anyway, guys, I think, what did we get tonight? We got 8 supporters. 1, 2, 3, 4. Shit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fucking hell. Why can I count this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, they were teasing me about you're only 4 viewers. You're only 4 viewers. Okay. Where are we at here? He has how many? See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's Sean G. He just came in. And if I wasn't there, see, 1, 2, 3, 4. He had 4. He had 4 viewers. So, same number of viewers as me. Right? Right?
I'm only seeing 7. I don't know where you stand on political stuff, but you know me, I'm a conservative. Well, if you know me,
Oh.
I'm a conservative.
No. Yeah, no surprise there. He's a fucking Trump supporter. No wonder he's a dumb fuck.
Trump supporter. I've been watching what's been happening with the economy under Biden and the politics.
And this is what we would call a Uncle Tom, a black man that kowtows to the people that want to oppress him. A person that subjugates himself to his oppressors. When it's an African American man, it's called an Uncle Tom. Or Chicken George. Chicken George is a little more elevated Uncle Tom.
Politics, and I kind of have a slightly different angle when it comes to the politics, but
like how the Republican Party doesn't want to what is it, take away your vote to gerrymander you out of voting.
But I'm sure a sharp mind like yourself can appreciate it. And if you want to, get to learn a little bit more about the type of content I put out, you can definitely, you're more than welcome to check out the channel, check out the other streams. Rumble is where you'll find all the best shit at. So get over to the Rumble page and follow me on Rumble, man. Follow me on Rumble. And I did subscribe to your channel, Sean G. And Geezer, I subscribe to you too, bro. I subscribe to you too. And you're more than welcome to come on and debate me if you like, if you wish. You know what I'm saying? I have faith that, as grown adults, we can actually have a sensible debate or a sensible discussion about our.
Oh yeah, and they don't realize it. I'll call him a dumb fuck and the dumb shit and stuff, but that's not how I debate. When I debate a person face to face, I drop the facade, I drop the persona, and I just obliterate them calmly. So,
Our positions
I mean, this is basically an act.
because in all the research
But what's funny is this guy isn't acting. Oh, you can't even see him, can you? This guy isn't acting.
and presentations that I've been doing, where I'm at with it now is I'm more interested in learning why globe earthers still believe in the globe rather than
Because we understand science, man. We understand reality. We understand physics and optics. That's why.
proving
Because we're not paranoid assholes who think the government's trying to kill us all and that NASA is the government. NASA is not the government. They're an entity of the government, but they're just science. It's like the Starship Enterprise isn't a warship. It's a science vessel.
to them that it's not a globe because people are going to believe what they believe anyway. And
Yeah, that's
as
true.
a flat earther that wants to, debunk the globe thoroughly once and
I mean, at least he's like open. That's more than I can say for any other flat earther.
that serve as our food and our medicine. And you can learn about this ancient art of herbal medicine by getting yourself a copy
Yeah, he's been on for like 3 hours and 17 minutes. Sounds like he's winding down. I'll catch his next one. Come on.
of the
So,
Lost Book of Herbal Remedies. It is linked in the description
I mean, it's like 11:18 here, so it's kind of late here too.
box of every video, including this one on YouTube and Rumble. Metabolic Cooking, if you're interested in weight loss book. Anabolic Cooking for the muscle building recipes, also available in the description box of every video. And of course, we got our eight supporters tonight. No big sponsors yet, no sponsors tonight, but together, collectively, you guys have all.
Anyway, that's all we got from this guy. You go forward. Yeah, he just presented a fucking script. All he's got is just memes and scripts. Doesn't have any science. Doesn't have any kind of proof. See, pop the chat back in. That should come up. There we go.
all come together to sponsor the show. So I appreciate the support. We need two.
Well, let's see if he shows any evidence for flat Earth. If he just says, "Well, I don't think the globe Earth works."
It may not be.
No. See, it's just memes.
It's just like YouTube, so you don't.
Just memes. Oh, I guess gets into some MAGA lies. Biden's physician. Influence peddling. Really? No. See, no $200,000 was deposited into Joe Biden's bank account. That's a lie. That's a right-wing lie. But Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, he was selling citizenships to Saudi Arabians or Saudi Arabians, however fucking say that, for $500,000 a piece. Rich Saudis, he was selling basically green cards for $500,000, selling citizenships, because it's the president's prerogative to grant a citizenship to someone. So they were selling citizenships for $500,000. That's a true fact. But this $200,000, yeah, that's bullshit. Patrick Webb, he's a dumb motherfucker. So, yeah, this guy's just full of it on every front. Just fucking disgusting people, man. Just absolutely disgusting. Just lies. No proof. No evidence. He just shows pseudoscientific papers, and he says, "Oh, it's wrong because I have my feelings." Just an idiot. Just another fucking flat Earth idiot who doesn't know shit, but thinks he's smarter than everyone. So, yeah. Anyway, that's about it. We might go through. Let's check out some of his other. Let's check out his other shit. Does he go live regularly? Just 3 days ago. See, it's just fucking horrible, fucking political lies. Flat Earth Wednesday. So I guess Wednesday is the Flat Earth Day. So we might go over his other shit. Go over his Wednesday streams and destroy him again. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you later. Wish I'd come on earlier, but I was kind of busy. And but we'll do it again. All right, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys later. And as always, be seeing you.